Greetings, Paul Drummond here. Welcome to this little session on Liza by George Gershwin, and it's a tune and a song later. Alright, it's in standard key, although it was written in E flat. So let me show the opening. We're going to go through E minor using 6, D minor, A minor, and so I'll play the first part and then we'll break it down a little bit. Alright, I'll stop it there, and there's a run that goes in there. So the beginning is also you can accent it different ways, you know. It's like instead of going, you can accent it. Just alter the notes a little bit, or hold the notes, sustain the notes a little bit. Alright, I haven't really got time to do everything I do with this because I do an awful lot with it. But I can show you this as a basis and then you can work from there, right? So we're going now. That's the opening. So we're going, just coming out to that F7. Now the second part, we're coming into E minor. So then B7, G7, C. Now interestingly, before I show you this run, Gershwin wrote the tune, but later words were added to it by Gus Kahn and Ira Gershwin, who was George's brother, and it premiered in Boston in 1929 in a Ziegfeld musical called Showboat, and the lead singer in that, or the star, the female star, was Ruby Keeler, who played Dixie Dugan. And interestingly, she was married to Al Jolson, and sometime during the show, Jolson got out of his seat in the third row and started singing the chorus, because he was one of them kind of guys, Jolson. He'd make things happen, and he was a bit pushy, but what a great artist he was, though, the biggest name at the time. And he surprised Gershwin, I think, in the orchestra backing it was Duke Ellington's orchestra, surprised them as well, and he recorded the tune about 10 days later with the song. Got to number 9 in the charts in the States in 1929, so he recorded it in July, I know that, early July. and it was originally written in E flat. Now I used to play it in E flat, but I've come back to it a few years later and decided to play it in G, mainly for students, banjo students, because out of G it's easier to transpose into other keys, being as you're using the standard key, the banjo. That's my thinking anyway. But they quite like this arrangement. All right, so we're coming through the first two parts, so I'll go to the G diminished chord. So we're going. Alright, now I used to get around the next part by using block chords, thump chords up and down the neck. But my daughter, Jordash, she's been playing jazz manouche now for a little while, and she was playing it one day, and I said, "Well, what was that you did?" And I looked at this run, so and it was that good. I thought, well, I can use that. So I'm gonna show you how she did this. Instead of my vamp chords, and it's better my vamp chords. So we're going. Back to the E minor. So she's back to the A. Now using 6 again, A minor. Or you can vamp it down. Alright, that's that part. There's a little anecdote about this. In the 80s, I dated a girl from East Village in New York, in St Mark's Place, and a couple of blocks away from there, East 7th Street, was a bar called McSorley's, which is an old Irish bar, an old tavern. It's quite famous actually. But I'd been in Lower East Side on this particular day with a friend, and I had the banjo, and I thought, well, before I go and see Nancy, I'll pop in and have a couple of beers. So I went in McSorley's, and there was a few Irish tourists in there, and a guy looked at the banjo case. He said, "But you'd not be playing that now, would you? Would you like to be playing that now?" I thought, what? And he looked at the barman, and the barman indicated by his expression that it was okay if I got the banjo out of the case. And I thought, and then the Irishman said, "I'd be like jigs in that," you know. I thought, yeah, here we go. I have to do my Kaylee repertoire now, which wasn't that great. Um, so I got the banjo at the case. He then surprised me by saying, "Would you not be knowing Gershwin's Liza now, would you, like, sir? It's my favourite." I thought, Jesus. So I played it for him. And I didn't get out the bar. I had to ring Nancy and ask her to come and meet me and get me. I had to get a cab home later. I was knackered, and that was that was the story of my afternoon in McSorley's. And interestingly, the owner, had been one owner. I think he'd been there for God knows how long, and he recently passed away in January. I believe Mr. Mayor, I think his name was. Yeah, nice old guy. Okay, so coming out from my daughter's. We now go to repeating what I was doing down the neck. And all you're using up here, you're coming down using the B minor to A minor. So the run. And I used to play a bit of a variation. A lot of ways you can play around it, and the ending I just play the first part again. That was that. All right, so people always ask me about how do you work these things out? How do you set about it? You know, a lot of people ask me. Well, what you do, you start with a blank sheet of paper, and then what you do is you start writing ideas down after you've looked at it. You've got the sheet music, maybe you found the sheet music, maybe you've watched someone play it online, and go to the source. In this case, Gershwin. I looked at Gershwin, listened to him play it, formulate an idea of how to start, and then you start tabbing out ideas. Some of those ideas get discarded, others are elaborated on. Then, once you've formulated a little bit, you start to be picky, you nitpick. And instead of looking at 8 measures or 8 notes in the measure, you look at 4 notes in the measure, and you see if you can accent a certain note in a different way to get a different mood. And by keep saturating that process, you get an arrangement. And then what you need to do is look for key elements to work on. And in this case, like I say, I used to vamp the chords at the neck. And this is my daughter's run, which incredibly she did when she was 12. It's worrying, but in a nice way worrying. And she's pretty good. So I thought it was worth including just for a structural thing, really. So you finally get an arrangement, and then you start tweaking it and fine-tuning it, and then you look at the structure and you improvise around the structures. So there's a lot you can do more with jazz. The structures allow you to work around all kinds of things, little uh, contours in chord shapes, different kind of nuances of different things, a little bit more. That's why I like jazz so much. So okay, but it's a good basis. I can't do everything I wanted to do in the time, but it's should be a help to you anyway. And thanks for being with me.